Hey guys, today we're looking back at some of the funniest EntitledPeople stories from this year. You'd think if there was anyone in the world who you could trust with your secrets, it'd be your mum, right? Not OP though. To her mum, her deeply personal secrets are just juicy bits of gossip to spread. But OP found the perfect revenge. Am I the a-hole? My mum is upset because I lied to her and asked her to keep it a secret, and then gaslit her about it. Post by Dry Raisin 7423. My mum is 46 and she loves to gossip. I wish she didn't, but she does. I try my best not to participate, but sometimes she tells me stuff that I'd rather not know. I was having a rough time after a breakup with my boyfriend, and I made the mistake of talking to her about it. Basically, my boyfriend decided that he preferred a close friend of mine to me. She told him to get effed, and he tried coming back saying he'd made a mistake and all that. Seriously? F that guy. The next thing I know, my aunt is texting me, asking me about this friend who stole my man. That wasn't what happened. I asked my mum, what the F? And she said she was just talking the situation over with her sister. I very clearly told her to not discuss my personal life that I told her about with anyone else. If I want them to know, I will tell them. She said I was taking it too seriously, but agreed. Well, she did it again. And again. And now I'm done with her BS. I'm graduating from college in June. I already have a great job lined up with the company I interned with. I have a plan for my future. I was talking to my mum recently, and she was prying into my life. I told her I wasn't interested in talking to her about anything personal. She started crying about how she's a terrible mother and can't do anything right. I'm used to her manipulation now, so I just waited it out. After she calmed down, I told her that I actually had some big stuff going down in my life, but that I would hate her forever if she told anyone. She promised that she wouldn't tell a soul. I told her I was pregnant and might need to drop out, but that I was happy about it. After she freaked out, she said she would support me no matter what, and that she would keep my secret until I decided what I was going to do. I know it's cliche, but my phone did blow up. Relatives and friends all calling to check in on me and see if I was doing okay and if I needed anything. I told everyone I was fine and looking forward to graduation and my career. My aunt was the first one to break. She asked what I was going to do about the baby and if I had really thought through my life if I had a kid. I told her I wasn't pregnant. I never had been pregnant. I asked her who was spreading such awful rumors about me. She wouldn't say. But it got around too. Eventually my mum called to ask, and I said I had no idea what she was talking about, and maybe she dreamed it or something. She is pissed about it and thinks I'm gaslighting her, which I suppose I am. But I feel bad now that everyone thinks she's lying, and she can't prove otherwise. Am I the a-hole? No! Don't feel bad! This is fantastic! It's actually kind of genius. No one will ever believe her mum's gossip after this, so even if she does continue to spread her personal stuff around, no one will know what's real and what isn't. Entitled sister-in-law wants custody of my baby. Post by Angel698. Background. I'm 36 and my sister-in-law is 40. I've been married to her brother for over 10 years and there's always been some jealousy and resentment from her. She's always felt like I had the life she wanted. Not necessarily with her brother, but the marriage, family, job stability, etc. I have 3 kids, 10 female, 8 male, and a 3-month-old baby girl. She got married last year and they decided to start trying for a baby. But unfortunately, she was told that she can't have children naturally. She was understandably devastated, and the family comforted her as best as we could. We recently had a family dinner, and in the middle of it, she says, OP, I think it's really unfair that you got to have 3 kids and I can't have any. Your baby is my last chance to raise a child, so I think you should give her to me during the week so I can create a motherly bond with her and you can have her on the weekends. Before I could respond, the entire table erupted with everyone talking at once, so I took my older kids upstairs. When I got back to the dining room, her husband was asking what the hell was wrong with her and why would she even think to ask that? She was trying to justify herself when I asked them to leave. I also said that she's no longer welcome at our house or around our children until she gets help. She started screaming that I don't deserve my life or my children and that I stole her baby from her. Her husband and mother-in-law kept apologizing and dragged her out of the house, still crying and screaming. Now my kids want to know why their aunt wants to take the baby. Edit. We have a security system and cameras already installed, and no one has keys to our house. I won't be getting a restraining order as this one incident isn't enough to justify it. My husband and I have already spoken to the older kids about it and explained that sister-in-law is no longer a safe person. Our country doesn't have the right to bear arms and have no interest in getting a gun anyway. I'll be informing the school and daycare of the issue and giving them a photo of her. Update. So, my sister-in-law has been admitted to a psychiatric facility. In the comments of my previous post, I mentioned that her husband was seeking counselling for them to deal with the infertility prior to this incident. After the incident, he sought out a psychiatrist rather than a counsellor, and they had their first session last week. I didn't get the specifics of what happened, but basically, she made some statements that the psychiatrist felt indicated she was a danger to others, my baby and me, and she was placed under an involuntary hold. My brother-in-law has been nothing but apologetic through this entire ordeal, and he's kept her away from us since the incident. Mother-in-law was staying with them to keep an eye on sister-in-law. She tried to leave the house in the middle of the night to see her baby. Also, brother-in-law found her researching how to induce lactation. She said it was to make sure she can feed the baby properly when I came to my senses and gave her up. Apparently seeing me breastfeed is what triggered the entire episode. It was the first time sister-in-law was around a baby for any length of time, and she was holding the baby when she got fussy because she was hungry. Naturally, I took her to feed her, and this made sister-in-law feel inadequate, because it triggered the thought that she would never be able to do that, which led to the events of the last post. We won't be moving, as it's not feasible for us at the moment, but we have taken extra steps with security, both at home and at the kids' school/daycare. This whole thing is taking a toll on the family, but mother-in-law, father-in-law and brother-in-law are taking care of sister-in-law, and my husband and I are focused on ensuring the safety of our immediate family, and minimizing the impact on the kids as much as we can. Update 2. I haven't seen sister-in-law since the incident happened, and I also blocked her on all my socials. My in-laws have been amazing through this entire situation, and haven't shared any information about our family with her. Unfortunately, she still remains fixated on my baby. She tried to find out where the daycare is, and even threatened to hurt herself if my in-laws didn't tell her. This led to another stint in the psych ward. She wrote me a letter, begging me to be fair and let her see her baby. We didn't actually receive the letter though. My mother-in-law read it and just gave us the gist of it. Sister-in-law's husband is working with her psychiatrist to see how best she can be helped. He said he doesn't know how long he can deal with this, but he's giving it 6 months. It's a very sad situation, and I hope she can deal with whatever's happening. At this point, we're completely no contact with her. We've explained to our older kids that their aunt isn't well, so she won't be around anymore. We still see mother-in-law and father-in-law regularly, and I'm so grateful we didn't have to cut them off. We're still on alert in case she escalates, but the hospital where she's warded isn't anywhere near us, and they don't live near us either. So we've accepted this is our new reality, and we're operating accordingly. My mother, who didn't raise me, thinks she's entitled to a mother suite when I buy a house. Posted by Mr. 1988. Quick backstory. My mother didn't raise me. Her parents did. She's always chosen guys and partying over me and my siblings. This is why CPS has taken all 3 of her kids away. Once I became an adult and joined the military, she would call me up every couple of months asking for money. She works, but it's a BS job. Eventually I asked her why she doesn't get a real job, and her response was, because I'd be miserable doing that. Here I get to chat with people and have fun. That's all good, if you can pay your bills, but she can't. She's done the exact same thing to my sister, who's also in the military. Anyway, I talk to her roughly 3 or 4 times a year. Last week she was asking me, when I finish school, where will I be moving to? I told her, I don't know. Her response was, well, wherever you go, you know you need a mother suite for me to stay at. And I said, no I don't. After that, I got bombarded with messages about how my generation doesn't know anything about respect, and how I wasn't raised properly. Mind you, I was raised by the same people as her. Also, how my dad wanted to end the pregnancy, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. After all that, I said thanks, but I'm still never gonna have a suite for you. Well, enjoy your effing life, is the last thing she said before hanging up. But hey, I'm sure in a couple of months she'll call to ask for something again. Am I the a-hole for refusing to punish my son after he pushed his cousin into a pool? Post by Throwaway. My brother recently turned 45. He threw a birthday barbecue at his beach house, which I attended with my wife and our kids, Sam who's 8 and Emily who's 5. We live pretty far away, so we stayed at the house for a few days. Less than a week before the party, we found out that Emily had an ear infection. Her pediatrician told us she'd have to avoid getting her ears wet. The only reason we still went to the party was because the kids were so excited about it. We told Emily she could still go in the water, but just not dive. Also in attendance were my cousin Greg, his wife Julie, and his kids, Mike who's 7 and Chloe who's 17. They live in a different state and were also staying at my brother's house. I hadn't seen them since Mike was a toddler, but it quickly became clear he had no intention of getting along with my kids. For whatever reason, Mike decided that Emily was faking her ear infection and started misbehaving over it. During the first 2 days of our visit, he tried throwing sand at her, hiding her toys, and on one occasion, stealing her medication. Whenever me and my wife tried to berate him, Julie would claim that he was just having fun and we had no right to scream at her son. She'd say that he wouldn't do it again and that should be enough. During the actual party, the kids were playing in the pool while us adults were eating. Chloe was watching them. Sometime later, Emily and Mike came to us crying. Both of them were completely wet. Mike told us that Sam had pushed him into the pool. We got the full story from Chloe. She was playing with Emily in the shallow end, and when she left the pool to get a glass of water, Mike showed up and pushed Emily's head under the water. Chloe ran back, but Sam pushed Mike into the pool before she got there. Mike wasn't hurt. My wife and I gave Sam the violence isn't the answer talk, but we didn't punish him any further. He was protecting his sister. Julie and Greg want us to ground him, as he'd gotten physical with a younger child. They insisted that Mike's actions were innocent and that he didn't deserve to be attacked over them. They told us to either ground Sam, take away his electronics, he doesn't have any, or forbid him from going into the pool. We refused to do any of these things. We returned home a couple of weeks ago, and they're still messaging us, calling us bad parents. They've gotten some of our family members on their side. I don't usually care about these things, but I'm not used to my family calling me entitled, so I'm wondering whether I'm in the wrong here. Am I the a-hole? I might get some heat for this, but violence was absolutely the solution here. A 7-year-old was holding a 5-year-old's head underwater. She could have died. You should be thanking Sam for potentially saving his sister's life, not scolding him. Also, you're kind of the a-hole for allowing it to get to this point. Sounds like Mike's been harassing and trying to hurt Emily for days. And you just left her in this dangerous situation? Also, I just want to point out the irony of this sentence. Julie and Greg wanted us to ground him as he'd gotten physical with a younger child. They insisted that Mike's actions were innocent and he didn't deserve to be attacked over them. Mike literally got physical with a younger child. Like, do they seriously not see the hypocrisy of this? Might want to have a chat with your other family members and give them all the facts. I'm guessing they might have been told a different story. We're a pet sitting service, lady! Posted by Deleted. Okay, buckle up. This is a doozy. I work for a pet/house sitting company and had a new client on my schedule for 3 visits a day for 2 weeks to take care of a dog. When I get to the house and go in, I see a kid, and I thought they must be running late leaving and didn't let us know. So I said hi to the kid and said, "It's okay, don't be scared," and then called out for the parents. The kid said, "They're gone." I asked, "What do you mean?" The kid then said, "I need to hurry up and make her breakfast and then take her to school." I again asked, "What do you mean? Where are your parents?" She said, "They're gone on their trip," and again told me to hurry up because she's hungry. I asked how old she is and she said 7. I asked, "They left you here alone?" She said yeah. Her mum told her that we'd come by in the morning to make her breakfast and take her to school, and then in the afternoon to pick her up from school and make her a snack, and at night to make her supper. I asked, "Where's Macy, the dog?" She said they don't have a dog. But when the owner came to the client meeting and to get the house keys, she met a dog. The kid said that her mum borrowed the neighbour's dog. Oh my god! I called the company owner and told her what was going on. Of course, she was flabbergasted and came over immediately. She tried to get hold of the kids' parents, but they weren't answering their phones, so she called CPS and explained everything when they got there. CPS took the kid, the parents' info, and left. The next day, the kid's mum called the owner and left a rambling message, screaming about how can we turn her kid into CPS and we broke the contract, so they're going to sue her for that and also for the cost of their ruined vacation. The owner called them back and told them our agreement was to take care of a dog, not a kid, and that was illegal anyway. Also, borrowing a dog for her to meet for the client meeting was deliberate misrepresentation, so good luck with the lawsuit. She hasn't heard from them since. I guess our pet sitting service was cheaper than hiring someone to watch the kid properly. But I still can't understand how this woman thought this would actually work. They plan to leave a 7-year-old child alone for a week? Of all the vacation cost-saving strategies I've heard, this is the worst. Dad tries to give away teenage daughter's womb. Posted by Cruiser1357. Recently reconnected with a childhood best friend, and it reminded me of this insane interaction from decades ago when we were 17. I spent a lot of time at my best friend's house when we were young. Her family was a lot nicer, wealthier, and more normal than mine. Her parents even took me in for a month when I had to leave home at a young age. So, we were hanging out, and one day her dad comes in really angry with her, just being generally rude, and said, "Are you still being selfish?" in a really passive-aggressive voice, and then walks away. I was like, damn, what did she do to Steve? Thinking it was just teenager stuff, but she gets really upset. She tells me that Dad's friends have been trying to get pregnant for a year now and just confirmed they can't have a baby. He asked her to consider being their surrogate. She really doesn't know these people and has spent maybe an hour with them in her life. Also, we're 17, so that's insane. I kind of thought she was embellishing a story to me, but then he starts saying it right in front of me a week later. I'm paraphrasing, but what I remember was basically, these people mean so much to me. Why can't you think of anyone but yourself? You could change their life. You could really do something amazing here. We would all have this incredible connection and the love of this baby. Do this for me. She kind of awkwardly looks away until he leaves and then starts crying. He pestered her about it until she was 18 and left on bad terms. He never got over it. The crazy part is, both couples were old and rich and could have easily bought a real surrogate or adopted. I'll never know why he insisted it had to be her. I kind of want to ask her if he ever came to his senses, but I moved away and we lost touch for the past 10 years, so it'd be weird to bring it up now. I just had to get this insanity off my chest. Down in the comments, a few people shed some light on why he was so insistent that his daughter carry the child, instead of them using a surrogate. The Simmer says, I can tell you, the first step is to get her to agree to be a surrogate. Then comes the part about conceiving naturally. He says, not just underage, but women in general, more than a few dudes, have hit on their wives' female relatives with similar lines. You see, the wife can't have a kid, so she gets sad. And then the husband convinces her that they can get a surrogate, and to save the $15,000 or so per treatment for IVF, the husband will just have to take one for the team and knock her up the old-fashioned way. Equivalent Gazilia 82 says, I literally read a story like this not long ago. OP's sister and husband were having trouble getting pregnant, so they went to OP. If I remember right, she was considering it, but only outright said no because they were pushing for the old-fashioned way. I don't remember OP's age, but I think she was under 25. And I think there was some kind of religious issue involved, but that could have been a different story with the same BS old-fashioned line. Tozza Fiona Self-Trouble says, but it's better for the baby to be conceived naturally. Oh, gross. I hope this isn't true, but if it is, the dad's basically pimping out his daughter to his mate. Entitled Mum wants my house as payment for marrying her daughter. Posted by Eaten by the Argue 1988. Hey Reddit, this is an ongoing show, so I'm putting this here so I can try and make sense of it. My wife's mother has been a narcissist her entire life, to the point where she ended up not going to our wedding because she didn't want to go to the city we both live in. I even offered to drive her here and put them up in a nice house for the week of the wedding, but she decided to surprise us with a wedding that she threw on the same day as our wedding without telling us ahead of time. Anyway, after almost a year of not speaking, she and my wife are trying to have a relationship. I'm not in favour because I've seen how she treats my wife, but my wife is grown up and I have to support her. Just over 6 months ago, my parents decided to give us their house, my childhood home, and we've been remodeling it. We moved in early this month, and my wife, with my blessing, invited her parents over to stay for a week so they could see their grandkids. We have twins, a boy and a girl named Luke and Leia, and to see the city we live in. Everything went fine until breakfast this morning when over coffee, my wife's mother-in-law from now on, drops a bombshell on me. Mother-in-law, so OP, when I had my children, I wanted to have them so that someone could take care of me when I get old. There's some history behind this related to why she fought so hard against my wife and I getting together, but that's another story for another time. Wow, there are so many other stories I want to hear. Like, what was that surprise wedding she threw you? If OP posts them, I'll make sure to do an update. Me, take a sip of my coffee, waiting to see where this is going. Mother-in-law, so since you took her away from me, I think you should be responsible for me too. So starting tomorrow, I'm going to be living in your guest room, the room they've been using for the last week, and I need you to drive us back to our estate so we can pick up our things. Me, I don't follow. Mother-in-law, since you married my daughter, I only have one son to take care of me. It's only fair since you took her. Now you have the responsibility to take care of me. My wife, Mum, I think you should go pack. Mother-in-law, no! You married this racist slur. I should at least get some benefits. My wife, Mum, that's enough. We invited you to stay for the week so you can meet your grandkids, but now I'm starting to see that this might have been a mistake. Me, Mother-in-law, I think you need to go. I'll take you back to your estate, but you're not going to live here. So here's the current situation. Mother-in-law is locked in the guest room, packing. But we suspect that she's actually planning on squatting in the room. Whenever we knock, she starts crying hysterically about how she's going to die old and alone, and how my wife is a bad daughter for not supporting her mum, and how I'm a bad son-in-law because despite having money and a nice house, I'm not supporting her, etc. I'm on the phone with my cousin. He lives down the street from us, and his dad is a justice in the Supreme Court, so hopefully we can get the police to trespass her. And we're working out a response. Update. So, to answer a few questions, the wedding thing was a whole different story. And OP posted a link to the story. Yes, I could have just taken the door off its hinges, called the cops, etc. But all those solutions ended with my mother-in-law in the news or a police blotter somewhere, and I'd like to avoid that. Just sending her back home is enough to keep her away, since it's pretty far, and she's only been to my city twice. This is the second time. The end of the story isn't as juicy as the story itself. My cousin's father, my uncle and godfather, sent over the police captain, who brought 4 officers with him. The police managed to coax her out of the room and escorted her to the station, where a police car from her state was waiting to bring her and father-in-law home. The local captain didn't log the incident in the blotter, which keeps it off the books. Surprise wedding story, posted 2 years ago. The mother-in-law who split our wedding, or why my wife and I had 2 receptions. I don't know how bad this will be compared with other stories out there, but I'm throwing this out into the world to quiet the anger in my heart. I met my now wife when we're working at the same job, teaching at a small rural school. I'm the child of an upper middle class family from a big city, and she's the only daughter of a poorer rural family in a small town. We started dating and eventually got engaged. Someday, I'll talk about all the poop that my mother-in-law has put us through. I convinced my then girlfriend, now wife, to start going to therapy. My wife has anxiety and PTSD, stemming mostly from how her mother treated her growing up. With therapy and support, she's learning to stand up to her mother, and that came to a head when we started planning our wedding. My wife grew to love the city that we now live in and wanted to get married here. She picked a church and a pastor to perform the ceremony, and I took care of the venue and the food for reception. Her mother wanted to be held in their small town, At first, because it was too far for her to travel, and after we shot that down, I offered to pick up her entire family and give them a place to stay here in the city, all on my own dime. She seemed to give it up, or so I thought. The day before our wedding, my wife started to get messages from people in her family and from her hometown asking about the venue and the start time. Except, the venue they were asking about was in her hometown. She told them it was here, in the city, but they said that wasn't what her mother told them. Turns out, her mother took it upon herself to arrange her own wedding for me and my wife, and thought she'd just tell us the day before our wedding, and we'd just agree to it and give up our plans of getting married in the city we live in. This was 6 months ago, and my wife and mother-in-law still haven't spoken in a non-fighting way. My wife says that mother-in-law is selfish and controlling. Mother-in-law says that my wife is ungrateful and should pay her back for what she spent throwing her own wedding and reception. Edit, to answer a few questions that came up. We both have very large families. For reference, I have over 300 cousins, uncles, and aunts. Because of the COVID restrictions, and not wanting to be one of those people, my wife and I limited our guest list. What mother-in-law did was invite people from my wife's family who weren't invited, as well as people from their small town, to attend mother-in-law's fake ceremony. Her hope was that she'd drop this on us the day before, and hope that my wife and I, my entire family, our friends and loved ones, would just agree that her ceremony was better, and we'd just uproot our wedding and go to the one that she held. But did you? What actually happened? The story just ended there, but down in the comments, I found OP's response to this question. We did not. We threw a second reception a month later for people who couldn't make it for whatever reason. Implied side-eye at mother-in-law. Karen freaks out in a public bathroom because I took her stool. Posted by No Actuator 5149. So, this just happened. I'm sitting in the food court area of my local mall typing this. I was just in the mall bathroom. It's pretty big. I think there's like 8 to 10 stools in it. When I entered the bathroom, it looked like only one other stool was occupied. I chose a stool randomly and settled in to do my business. I hear the bathroom door open and a loud click from high heels. They stop outside my stool and I'm startled by a loud banging. Then I hear a nasally, "Excuse me," and I say, "Someone's in here," and this is a conversation that ensues. Karen, "No shite, can you hurry up? I need that stool." Me, there are plenty of open stools." Karen, "Do you think I'm blind? I want this one. Now hurry up, I have somewhere to be." Me, honestly a little stumped, so I stutter a little. "I'll be out when I'm done. If you're in a hurry, use one of the many empty stools." Karen, "Listen here, biatch. I don't like your attitude. This is my stool. I use it every time I'm here. Now move it." She actually shakes the stool, and now I'm pissed. Me, "You need to back up. You can't own a stool in a public bathroom. Now leave me alone." Karen starts kicking and shaking the door at the same time. I sigh loudly and decide to just ignore her. I also decide I'm gonna purposely sit in this stool longer, even though I'm done with my business. This psycho continues to hurl insults, kick and shake the door for a solid 5 minutes. Finally, she screams out, "F you, biatch, eat poop and die." I actually laughed out loud at that one, and she loudly click-clacks out of the bathroom. Some people are just straight up psychopaths. Who thinks they actually own a specific stool in a mall bathroom?
You're in my spot.
Cousin won't pay for my ruined wedding dress. Posted by Mrs. Bunnypants 26. I got married in 2019. My grandma, who is also my cousin's grandma, was a professional seamstress and made an absolutely beautiful wedding dress for me. She made them for all the brides in our family, but she passed away early last year. My cousin got engaged about a year ago and begged to use my dress since we're about the same size. It's important to note, this isn't a family wedding dress. My grandma made one for each of us. I agreed as long as she would pay for the dress to be cleaned and preserved after she was done with it. I was very clear this would cost about $200 and she was okay with that. As a wedding gift to her, I paid for minor alterations, which came out to about $250. So she had a wedding 2 weeks ago, and last week she returned my gown. She left it on the porch while I was out. I opened up the dress, and not only is it still dirty, it's ruined. There are food stains practically smeared into the fabric, and it's torn in several places. One sleeve is half torn off. It must have happened at the wedding after party, which my husband and I didn't go to as we had to get home to our babysitter. I called my cousin immediately and she didn't answer. I kept calling until she picked up and she was like, "Oh, just get it cleaned and send me the bill." I told her how upset I was with her and that this was not okay. I said I was going to bring it to the cleaners and a seamstress and tell her how much it would cost, if they could even fix it. She rushed me off the phone and said she would send me money. She still hasn't, despite me asking many times. The seamstress can fix my dress, but the dry cleaners tell me it will basically be impossible to get the stains out. There's literally a sauce stain at the bottom, as if she sat on a pizza. They said they'd try, but between the seamstress and the cleaning, plus the preserving, it cost at least $600. So I sent my cousin pictures and everything, and she ignored me. I kept calling and calling until finally her husband picked up and said they were going to pay for the $200, but not the rest, because that's what we agreed to, and to stop bothering them. I said that I planned to take her to court. I have text messages showing that she agreed to the cleaning and everything. She's saying it's usual wear and tear, but it's definitely not. My aunt has called me a bunch of times, saying I'm a horrible person for threatening to sue a newlywed couple, and she's trying to turn the whole family against me. My aunt and cousin pointed out that we didn't even bring a wedding gift, and now we're adding insult to injury by threatening to sue. But when I was texting my cousin, I was very clear that us paying the $250 for alterations was our gift. In my mind, that's a lot of money to spend already. I don't know what to do at this point. I wanted my daughter to be able to wear this dress one day if she wanted to. I'm so upset. My parents offered to pay to get the dress repaired, but they shouldn't have to. Not to mention, the dress might be too stained to fix anyway. What do I do? Take it to court for just the $200? Or the $600? Just leave it and let my parents pay to keep the piece? They can afford it, but I don't want them to. Yikes! Sounds like she didn't really have that much respect for your grandma's handmade dress after all. Can you sue for sentimental value? I'd still keep the dress and offer to have the dress remade, using whatever fabric can be salvaged for your daughter, in whatever style she wants. So then at least she can still have a piece of her grandma with her, even if it's not the exact same style. Give my daughter your car. She deserves it. Post by She Who Loves to Draw. A little background. First, I have a fairly decent car for its age, a 16-year-old Dodge Neon SE. And I have zero interest in getting anything different since it's reliable, still gets great gas mileage, is completely paid off, and handles great. It's blue and rusty, but I don't care. It gives the car character, you know? Second, this story takes place in Michigan, where anyone who lives here knows the roads suck. Potholes, uneven streets, and jagged pavement on every stretch of road you'll ever drive down. Getting a flat tire at least once in your life while living here is both a guarantee and a rite of passage. So I was driving through town after my shift at work and had to take a really awful street. I do my best to avoid potholes, but they can't always be avoided. Lo and behold, my rear driver's side tire takes a hit. I could feel that something was wrong with the tire, so I pulled off the road as soon as I could. Turns out, I'd picked a used car lot and had plenty of room to inspect the damage. When I stepped out of the car to look at the tire, another car pulled into the lot behind me and proceeded to park on the other side. I noticed that the tire was low, but not flat. Fortunately, the pothole had only loosened the seal on the stem valve, and I could fix it with a can of Fix-A-Flat that I keep in my trunk. While I was fussing with my tire, the dealership owner came out to greet me, most likely assuming that I was either there to trade in my car or shop around. When he saw that my tire was low, he insisted that I pull my car further away from the side of the road and up towards the front of the dealership building, for safety reasons. I agreed and moved my car where instructed. Unbeknownst to me, I was being watched by a dreaded entitled parent and her demonic spawn. The owner gave me a hand and helped me with my tire, made sure the valve was secured and that the pressure was stable. I thanked him for his help and sat back down in my car. As I put the key in the ignition, I heard something bang against my window. I looked up to see a woman, the stereotypical Karen, trying to get my attention. I rolled my window down to see what she wanted. My bad. Me. Yeah? What's up? Entitled parent. Are you through yet? Me? Am I... what? Entitled parent. Through. Are you through yet? Because my daughter's been waiting long enough. I looked past her and saw her 16-year-old daughter, dressed in a dark miniskirt, white tank top that showed everything, and 4-inch heels. This is February, by the way. She was also wearing so much cheap makeup, you'd think she was auditioning as the role as the Joker. Me. Waiting for what? Entire parent. Don't act cute. She needs her turn. You've already taken up enough of our time. Me. What are you talking about? Entire parent. Are you stupid? Your test drive is over. Now it's entitled Brat's turn. The entitled brat is standing behind her mother with her arms crossed and giving me a smug, "Wow, are all you commoners so stupid?" type of grin on her arrogant face. Me. Oh, I figured it out pretty quick and tried to defuse the situation. I wasn't on a test drive. I own... Entitled parent. I said get out! Me. This is my car. Entitled parent. No, it's not. I just saw you pull back into the lot. We were behind you this entire time, so don't try to lie to me. Me. I wasn't. Entitled parent. You didn't even go inside the building to sign the papers, so I know you're lying to me. You didn't buy this car. You're just being a stubborn little biatch. Me. No, this is my car. I have the register. Entitled parent. What the F is wrong with you? Get out now! Me. No, this is my car. Entitled parent. No, it's not. My daughter wants it, and I'm gonna buy it for her right now. She tried to pull my door open, but thankfully, I'd locked it when I got inside. Entitled parent. Give me the key! Before I had a chance to say anything else, she reached in through my window and made a grab for the key in the ignition. The key was on a keyring with my apartment key and 4 others, so clearly not the dealership's key. When she tried to pull it out, I grabbed her arm and pushed her back. Me. Get away! Entitled parent. You little biatch! You just assaulted me! I quickly rolled up my window and was ready to turn on the engine and drive off when I saw the owner returning. Dealership owner. Ma'am, what's going on? Entitled parent. This little slut just assaulted me! Call the police! She attacked me because I told her to let my daughter have a test drive, and now she's trying to steal the car! The owner looked at me, looked at my worn-out, dirty car with a faded bumper sticker on the trunk, and looked at the woman like, are you serious right now? Dealership owner. Ma'am, this car isn't for sale. This is her car. Entitled parent. No, it's not. Until she signs the paperwork, it's not hers. And my daughter wants to drive it. She just got her license, and I promised her I'd get her a blue car. And this is the only blue car in the lot. It was not. There was another blue car parked right behind her. And yes, her 16-year-old daughter, who just got her license, was going to test drive a car in heels. What the F? Dealership owner. Ma'am, this car isn't mine to sell. It already belongs to her. Entitled parent. No, it doesn't. I saw her drive the car into the lot, and I saw you telling her to pull up to the building. Stop trying to lie to me. Dealership owner. She had a low tire. She pulled off. Entitled parent. Why won't you let my daughter have her turn? She deserves her turn. Is it because my daughter isn't all tatted up like this little slut? Note what the daughter was wearing. I was wearing blue jeans, tennis shoes, a baggy t-shirt with Kirby on it, and a green jacket over the top. The only visible skin was my hands, neck and face. Dealership owner. Ma'am, stop. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Entitled parent. No! My daughter needs this car! I promised her! And all you're doing is wasting my time! Dealership owner. I'm asking you nicely to leave before I call the cops. Entitled parent. You do that, and I'll tell the cops that this biatch assaulted me, pushed my daughter, and that you're selling stolen cars. Now give my daughter this car right now, or else. She actually said or else, like a damn cartoon villain. She also said give, like, does she expect to get it for free now? Dealership owner. Ma'am, leave. Entitled parent. This is ridiculous! She pulls out her phone to call the cops herself. You're going to regret being so disrespectful to me. All you had to do was sell me this car, but no. You decided that this slut was better than my daughter. My daughter deserves this car. I know I wasn't in the wrong, but I was still a bit nervous. I looked at the owner through the windshield, and he gave me a look that said, everything will be fine. Watch this. About 5 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up, and the officer approached the owner. Before he even had the chance to ask any questions, the entitled parent began shrieking at him at full volume. Entitled parent. I want that biatch arrested! She assaulted me and my daughter, and now she's trying to steal my daughter's car! The cop was unfazed and just looked at me and then over at the owner without blinking. Cop. Hey Jerry, is this true? Dealer shipowner. Not a word of it, Frank. If you want, you can check the lot's security cameras. The entitled parent was fuming, and the entitled brat just rolled her eyes, like we're boring her. Entitled parent. Why? Don't you believe me? You're not seriously gonna take her word over mine. Just look at her! Cop. Ma'am, I need to get both sides of the story. Now, you said she tried to steal... Entitled parent. Yes, that's my daughter's car. Cop. Alright, fine, that's easy enough to prove. The cop walked over and motioned for me to open the door. I did, and he of course asked my ID, my registration, and my proof of insurance. He saw my name on the license and registration, which were also dated from almost 2 years ago, were a match. He just gave a nod and handed back my stuff and closed the door. Cop. Ma'am, that's her car. Entitled parent. Not possible! She just got here! She couldn't have signed the papers! Why are you also against my daughter? She needs a car! Cop. Ma'am, you do realize it's a crime to try and file a false police report. This car isn't stolen, and I seriously doubt she assaulted you. I'm going to look at the cameras, and if I find that you're lying to me... Entitled parent grabbed her daughter's arm and pulled her along. Entitled parent. F this place! All these cars are trash anyway. My daughter deserves better than anything that slut would ever drive. The cop stuck around until the entitled parent left, apologised to me for the disturbance, and wished me a good day. Before he left, he said goodbye to the owner, again calling him by his first name. Dealership owner. Don't worry about her, I don't think she'll be back again. And if she does show up again, my brother Frank will be back too. He slipped me a business card, joking that if I ever needed another car in the near future, he'd ensure that no crazy people were hiding in the trunk. I thanked the man for coming to my rescue and drove off. Ever since, I've been trying to figure out why my old car was so important to the entitled parent. Seriously, it's not that great of a car. Old, losing its pep, and needing some TLC. But I still love my blue bastard. She just couldn't handle being told no. I gotta wonder what she thought would happen when she told the cop that the car was stolen. Did she really think that he'd just be like, yep, that checks out, hand over the car? Most parents do what's best for their child. However, imagine if your girlfriend cheated on you, got pregnant, and then your whole family tells you to step up and help raise the affair baby. Well, that's what happened to OP in the next video. Click here if you want to see it. Otherwise, thanks for watching.